Welcome to the Soaring Through Adversity podcast. I am Renee Bregelet, the co-founder and CEO of our foundation and your host. Each month, we amplify the often unheard voices of individuals with intellectual, developmental, and physical disabilities, as well as those who support them. Voices filled with resilience, wisdom, and unstoppable strength. Through raw, real conversations, you'll hear how they rise above challenges, defy expectations, and discover purpose. These are the stories of people living victoriously beyond limitations. If you're ready to be inspired, to shift your perspective, and to champion true inclusion, you're in the right place. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. We are here to define what's possible, one story at a time. Today, my guest is John Howie. John is a Union County native, born in Monroe, North Carolina, and now residing in Mineral Springs. For more than 5 decades, he has built a life defined by discipline, passion, and perseverance. John began lifting weights at just 15 years old in a homemade garage gym using a 400-pound York barbell where he set up his equipment that he had built himself. That early dedication led him to set 4 North Carolina state deadlift records, including a 770-pound lift in 1983 that ranked him among the top 10 in the world. He was inducted into the North Carolina Weightlifting Hall of Fame. A graduate of Parkwood High School, John earned a AA from Wingate College, a BS in physical education from Western Carolina University, and later a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics from East Carolina University. Along the way, he toured with the rock band named Sugar Creek, competed in physique contests and movie and commercial acting, and in 1980, purchased Monroe Fitness, now known as the Enterprise, a gym he still operates today. Then in 1987, at just 35 years old, a tragic accident left John quadriplegic. The man once ranked among the world's strongest was forced to redefine strength entirely. Through resilience and faith, he learned a new way to live, proving that strength is not measured in pounds lifted, but in the courage to keep going. Our today's episode title is Redefining Strength. So, John, you ready to answer some questions?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. So let's just jump right in. What happens to the strongest man in the room when he can't move?
Well, it took about 6 weeks to lose everything, all the muscle mass, because I was completely paralyzed and not moving at all. So you atrophy pretty quickly in that kind of a situation. I knew what had happened when it happened. I knew what I was faced with. And like anybody else who has these accidents, generally speaking, if it's not what they call a complete injury where you sever the cord itself, there's some return over the first 6 months. And so you live the first several months hoping for return of being able to move different parts of your body or all of your body or whatever. And over 6 months, I didn't get much back. Had a couple of subsequent surgeries to try to help, but it sort of leveled out with most of my shoulders, some of my chest and back muscles, and some of my arms. My thinking is and was and still is actually just to work what works. I just love working out. That's the whole motivation for all of this. All the gym and the workouts. It's just because I like doing it. It makes you feel good and it's healthy. And it's healthy mentally, psychologically, and physiologically. It's just a great habit to have. So my thinking was, like I said, just to keep working out. And things that don't work, you can't work. And the things that can, you work. That's my motive right now, and still is since 1987, whatever it was.
And why don't you tell our listeners exactly what happened in 1987 that changed your life?
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person, which was the first big mistake. It was at White Lake down east here in North Carolina, and just jumped off a pier and just didn't realize how deep it was, and hit the bottom, just like diving straight into the water. It felt like I got hit on the head with a sledgehammer, got shocked really bad. Well, that was the sensation. I knew what had happened, and I was underwater. I remember looking down at my feet, and they weren't moving or couldn't move them. So I knew I was going to drown because I couldn't move. I couldn't, and I did. And probably after a couple of minutes of the people I was with thinking I was just playing around floating in the water to the top, they came and got me and went around the edge of the pier and up the ladder onto the pier. And a guy who was the mayor of Dunn, North Carolina, actually did CPR and brought me back. But it was probably about 7 or 8 minutes underwater, at least 6 or 7. And I woke up and then we started from there. Just went to the hospital there in Whiteville, and then Fayetteville, and then down to Florida after that.
How long were you in rehab?
5 months in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they specialize in what you were experiencing is why you went there?
Yeah, it's that's what they do. It's at Jackson Memorial Hospital. It's a well-known rehab center for this kind of thing. And they do vocational rehab and physical rehab and all sorts of stuff. And I just did what they said, and at 5 months, they released me back to Monroe.
Yeah. All of the fitness work that you had done, I'm sure, was a great encouragement to you to try to get back to where you were because you had a passion for something.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Even now, it's 73 years old. I was 35 when I got hurt. I go out there on the floor 4 or 5 days a week, and for some reason, it means just as much to do what I can do. It's just gratifying, and I really, it's my faith that brought me through this because I really think God had a hand in this. I think that I won't say He punished me, but I'll say that He allowed this to happen for a reason, and that reason has come to fruition over the years as a truth that I understand and believe in now. And I believed in God, of course, in Jesus from way back. But He had a purpose for me. I had a 2-year-old son at the time. And even though I was 1/10 of what I could be to him physically, I'm still here. And, we all know our children look up to us. And they watch. They may not ask, but they watch and they follow you and they know what you're doing and how you talk and what you say and what your actions are. So I had to be here for him. So suicide was completely out of the question. And I don't know, I'm here for a reason, and he's a big part of it. And my wife, who I lost at the time, who I've got back since then, is a huge part of it too, because she's a wonderful person, a wonderful person. And, you just don't do something like that to somebody. But I did. So it took her 20 years to forgive me, but we got, we're okay now. Actually get along better than we ever have. So anyway, that's kind of the deep thoughts as to what I have thought since then and still think now. It's just important.
The Soaring Through Adversity podcast is presented by Victory in Time. Victory in Time's mission is to help executives, leaders, and business owners excel in their faith, lives, and work. Through speaking engagements, one-on-one mentoring, and our mastermind groups, known as Victory Circles, Victory in Time wants to help you become the best leader you can be. Find out more at victoryintime.com. Also, don't forget to pick up your copy of the Soaring Through Adversity book, Life Lessons to Lead Triumph and Rise Above. All net proceeds from sales of the Soaring Through Adversity book benefit Victory Advantage.
Well, John, I want to share this because, I come to the enterprise and I'm actually being trained by your brother, Eddie, which
Yeah.
is very cognizant of what we go through, having some, deficits, and mine nothing compared to what you live in daily.
Uh,
But I see you in that gym and I see what you're facing, but the determination that you face it with. And, it's interesting to me for you to talk about God allowing it to happen, because I feel the same way about having the brain tumor and then
oh,
being
really?
left. Instead of getting complete healing, he saw to leave me the way that I am. And I think it is for people to see my faith, and kind of like what you're saying. And you're right. Our children do watch. And I'm sure your son sees the strength that you have, which makes him look at things like, if dad can do it, I can do it too, as well as so many other
Totally.
people, John. I don't think you realize how many people you actually affect. And I think that is tremendous.
Well, it's like I said, I think life is wonderful, and I can't imagine why I would think that. But I think it's wonderful. I don't know what you think, but how could you possibly? This is like paralyzed from upper chest down. This is way worse than it looks, by the way. You look like you're just sitting down, but there's all kind of pain and burning and tingling and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, but I still think life is wonderful, and I want to share that with anybody, particularly my family, my friends, and the people that work out here. There's just so much good things about this earth that God created. No matter where you are, no matter what's wrong with you, what happened to you, I guess it's just God's will that I feel that way.
He does give us strength that it's hard to fathom. That peace that he gives us during the hard times is,
It is.
it makes you wonder, really, but it changed your perspective. And, you know, that's one of the main reasons that Victory Advantage exists, because I want to help people with disabilities, because I feel it. Like I say, nothing compared to what you do. But I want to help people have and find a passion. And one of our big things is employment, because a lot of people, you were bitten by the fitness bug when you were 15 years old. So you
Yeah.
had a passion going into it, and which is huge. It's absolutely huge. But, that is a major goal for Victory Advantage, is to help them have a full life and to be respected and have dignity. And I see all that in you. And I'm so glad that you let me interview you today, because I want our listeners to understand that as well. And one of my board members, Daniel McGuirt, who is also a
Yeah.
quadriplegic and in
Yeah.
a terrible accident, in a split second, just like you were. And, knowing him as a friend, he's got a similar story with his faith, and he tells a story about, what you just mentioned. Suicide was not an option. And but let me ask you a little bit of a lighter question. What did spark you to start lifting weights at the age of 15?
Good question. I didn't do it to look better. I did it to not look so bad. I had a terrible physique. Oh goodness, I had narrow shoulders and these fat things on the side, down in the waist on the side there, and looked like a vase kind of, upside down vase or upside up vase, I guess. And I knew that lifting weights and changing your musculature was the only way to change your way you looked, and that was the reason, just to look better. And
Yeah.
I sort of took to it, and I've always been a sort of a individualist and preferred individual sports over team sports, really. And this is one of those where you just either do it or you don't. And if you do well, you reap the benefits, and if you don't try, you don't. You fail, and it's just you. And I just enjoy that aspect of the sport of powerlifting and bodybuilding, actually, that I participated in.
Well, and I'm sure you learned very quickly that along with looking better, you felt better. I'm sure you ate
Oh
better.
yeah,
And I'm doing the same thing, being in the gym. I have to say that being at the enterprise is pretty different than, the Pilates that I did, because it's more about the whole person. It's more about not just toning, but building the muscle that, I need to keep going. And, in my legs particularly. And it's, I can't say enough about it. And, what you're teaching people with this podcast. But I have got to ask you, how in the world did you get into acting?
Well, I was a tall person, 5'3", and I was about 250, and fairly decent looking person. And people like that tend to at least try that. I had an agent in Charlotte that I went and did a portfolio and all this stuff, and just got called on some gigs and did some of them. Did 3 or 4 movies and 5 or 6 commercials, and I actually was working toward doing a lot more work at the time I got injured.
Yeah.
So that ended that too. I actually read for a commercial in the first few months after I got hurt that ran on the Super Bowl, which was the local section of the commercials for that event.
Yeah.
And the guy who got the commercial was not really in a wheelchair. I knew him, and I saw the commercial, and I said, "Well, that's what's his name? He got that." But I did read for one, and I didn't since then, and that's been years ago.
Yeah, but the one that jumped out with me is you working alongside Richard Pryor.
Yeah, this is right when he started his disease. He was losing some weight, and we did the filming in California, in Long Beach, in an old car assembly plant, actually. And he was making. I asked him, he was making $7 million. And I said, "What do you do with all that money?" He said, "Well, my people handle it." And I said, "Well, I hope they handle it right." And I actually did a weight gain program for him. And we went to the trailer where they, did the makeup and stuff, because he had begun to lose weight with that, whatever that was he died from. He'd already lost a good bit of weight at that time. And this was August of 86, about 6 months before I got hurt. Yeah. He actually sent me a poster, which I still got somewhere, and signed it after I guess he found out I got hurt. I don't know. Well, he knew it because he sent me a poster.
Well, that's pretty cool. Not only was he a very funny man, it sounds like he was a kind one too.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm from Union County and was very familiar with the band Sugar Creek. Now, like you, I'm not going to tell my age like you did, but it's getting kind of close to yours. And that when I saw that, I was like, wow, he was in Sugar Creek. So how did you end up being a musician, and what did you do? Did you sing? What did you do?
Well, when I was 12 years old, we went to Charlotte as a group of 4 guys and just took lessons. And I wanted to do the banjo, and the guy said, "I don't have that, but I got a trombone." I said, "Well, I'll do that." So I took lessons when I was 12 on the trombone, and somewhere along the way, when I was about 17 or 18, I heard about auditions for a band that was forming, and went and auditioned, and another sax player and trumpet player were there. So we made a actual horn section for the band, and we just started playing. And I actually was in school at the same time. It was in and out of Sugar Creek for about 10 years. I'd go to school for a semester and go out and get in the band, back in the band, and stay out and go back to school for a semester. So, and the band evolved with different people in it over time. And that's really my gift, is music. My gift is not so much the physical genetics, really. It's music. That was, besides losing the body completely, I played piano and trombone, and both of those were gone instantly. And I really miss that. But, that's the way it is right now.
John, there's times in this podcast that I just don't know what to say. But we talked about the passion for working. And I saw where, let's see, you bought a gym that you were going to for $10,000, $1,000 down, and $1,000 per month. I mean, that takes guts, and you had a lot of work to do, obviously.
Well, there's 3 things I said I would never do is to own a gym because all the guys wanted to own a gym. Everybody wanted to do that. I wouldn't have a red car and I wouldn't live in a trailer. I did all three in that first 5 years.
Now, wait a minute. Don't talk about people living in a trailer because that's where I
Well,
grew up. But go
it
ahead.
was very little trailer. It was 40 by 10. It was small. So we went there to work out one day, and the guy said he wanted to sell it. And I don't know. I just said, okay, what do you want? He said 1,000. And it was $750 a month, actually, till I paid it off. And just took to it. You can't do this kind of job if you've got to have a certain set of skills. And it's not just like working out. That's the last thing you've got to have. Well, not the last. You've got to have the people skills. You've got to have, closing skills, sales skills, and really just the heart for it to begin with. And just happened to have all those, I guess, because I really took to it and didn't think I would. Oh,
Well, I mean, from my experience, you certainly have the personality for it. And I admire that because the entrepreneurial bug bit me early as well. And once it gets in your blood, it's hard to move past that because just the feeling that it gives you, because it is, such a well-rounded opportunity.
yeah.
I mean, I loved it. And so then you evolved. Is that when you named it the Enterprise?
Actually, it's from Star Trek.
I'm sorry.
Good question.
Okay,
You
go
think
ahead.
about that. I was just sitting around one night, and me and my art friend, a guy that could draw, we were trying to draw a logo. And I said, that just sounds like a good word. That's a bright, positive word, enterprise. It just sounds good. Plus, it's the starship, so let's do it.
Well, okay. So how long did you own the gym?
Bob just sold it a year and a half ago. So
Oh,
45 years, I guess.
that's quite the career. Yes, that is quite the career. I had mine, let's see, 35 years. It was absolutely amazing. And I know you feel blessed to still be there.
Oh, yeah.
That was not my case. And it was a morning, time for me, especially because my health and my issues was one of the major reasons that I sold it. But,
Yeah.
it's tough, but we do what we have to do, don't we?
Yeah. We both know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, who has been your greatest cheerleader?
Don't know if I have one, actually. My wife I'm like always look at the positive. She always looks at the negative first, which is a good mix because we sort of come to the middle after that.
Yeah.
So that's my support. That's my rock. Yes. Not such a positive rock all the time, but rock.
That reminds me of my husband and I. It's kind of like, I get all, excited about something and then he kind of takes me back about middle of the road. So it sounds like y'all got that similar relationship.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's really good.
Well, good. What would you tell others? And you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but, tell others about how they should truly cherish their life, before something tragic like this happens.
Well, the Christian faith is logical. It makes a lot of sense. And you can always give your troubles to God. You can always do that. If you believe that, how can you ever be sad, really? Because anything that happens, there's going to be a bright side and it's going to eventually pass. And if it doesn't and you die, you go to heaven. So there's not this big issue with being happy or complacent in life because you've got a foundation to always turn to. And I know it's not, you can't do a lot of things you'd want to do because of the commandments, the rules, whatever. But there's so much upside, so much upside. And, I asked my dad one time, I said, you see Christians that are on the street thumping Bibles, telling people are going to hell and all this right in their face. Then you see people that are Christians that go to church once a month. Where are we on that? And he said, well, you've got to find your position on that scale and stay there. And so my Christianity is sort of quiet, maybe by example, I guess. I don't know. But I'll tell anybody that asks, and I'll volunteer it if I feel the need to do that. As a matter of fact, this job I have here, I've often said this, it's the second best job on earth because we are responsible for giving you the best physical quality of life you could have for 70 years, and then Jesus takes care of the rest of it. So what our minister can help you save your soul. So, what a wonderful job to have. What a great job. And I realize that more and more as I get older for some reason.
John, I'll tell you what, you are an inspiration to me. Dramatically, you are. But what I heard you just say is you walk the walk more than you talk the talk.
Yeah, because you don't know where you are on that scale. I tend to think we all ought to be out on the street yelling at people and telling them to come on,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know.
You're right. It is. I think we all witness in different ways. Like the Bible says, He gives us all gifts, and
Yeah.
and sometimes they may not be the gifts we imagined, but they're the ones that He knew when He created us that's the ones that we would have. Well, I got a question for you. Is there anything you would do differently, whether it be in the past? Yeah, let's talk about that. In the past, is there anything you would have done differently?
I've made two giant mistakes. One was where I was when I got hurt and who I was with, which was the biggest one. And the second one was a gym I bought in Carborough, not Tarboro, but Carborough, that didn't work. But otherwise, I can't think of anything I would have done different. Nothing.
That is just a wonderful answer, so, and I have to say this, it's where you said you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, but that's exactly where God intended you to be. And so that you could witness to people. And
I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't get out of the situation I was in. I couldn't make things right. I could not make that decision. So somebody made it for me, I think.
So you've talked about it a lot, but you also said that one of your purposes to still be here was your son, and his name is Daniel, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can already tell how proud you are of him, and your wife is named Susan, correct?
Diane.
Diane. Okay.
Yeah, my sister.
Oh, your sister is Susan. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then a brother, Eddie. So you've not got a large family. So if someone's listening today and their life changes overnight and you went to see them, what would you say?
There's a lot of value in doing all you can do and then choosing not to do what you can do. That's depression. When you can do some things, parts of what you could do, and you don't do it, that's sad. But just the experience of getting all that you can out of life with volition and choosing to move forward, and the rewards are immense in your psychology and your mental stability. Just doing all you can do and knowing that you did all you can do. That's the same with the bodybuilding. I figured out pretty quick that I wasn't going to beat everybody on earth. So I determined I was just going to try to be better than I was last time because you can't control who's going to show up at a contest or a show. And if you did all you could do, it didn't even matter much if you didn't win because they were better than you, but you did all you could do.
Well, that's right. So you were actually, what I'm hearing is you competed against yourself, being better today than yesterday.
Yeah. And it's the same way now. Even though I'm 73 and I'm sure I can't get any stronger, it doesn't seem to matter. I still go out there and work out and just love it. I don't know. It's just the satisfaction of doing something you don't have to do and really don't want to do sometimes, and then you do it. And I see that every day here. Every day. I tell people the first rep is getting in the door. You come in the door, you'll do your stuff. You'll do your right workout. But you got to get in the door. And you got to choose to do that. You got to turn that steering wheel when you're coming down 74 into the turning lane to come over here, when you could just go right by there and go straight home. And it's those decisions to do what you ought to do that feeds your mental stability. I really feel that.
You were talking about God putting us where he wants us at the time he wants us there. And it's real interesting to me that Krista Tyson is on our board and her husband, Eric Trumpauer. And that's how I found your gym. I mean, I've known it's been there forever, but they introduced me to Eddie because he helps people, because he's been around you, but he helps people with disabilities like Grace Trumpauer. And so that's amazing to me that that is going on at the enterprise. But also, I've seen people with disabilities in there cleaning machines. And I know there's some other stuff from talking to the new owner, Jeff, that's on the horizon that is going to go even deeper for people with disabilities, which is amazing to me how God put me there with us having, Victory Advantage, and that's who we want to help. And, our mission is to let people know that we're here so that we can help them. And we're a private foundation, so we can help people quicker. So, please, as you are living the life that you live and you're encouraging people, if you can, send anybody our way, I greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to close here. I just want to tell you that I know you inspired a lot of listeners today, but I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart how much you have inspired me today. And I really do thank you for doing this podcast.
Well, it just feels good to inspire people. We all know that.
It does feel good, but it's also, telling people about the Lord and, and what he has done and what he will continue to do. And if he does it for us, he will do it for them too.
Yeah. And how can you go wrong? If we're wrong, we won't go to heaven. But if we are, we will. And if you don't believe, you certainly won't. There's no chance of going. So how can you go wrong being a believer?
Well, I tell you what, John, I'm going to close with that, and I will see you at the gym tomorrow.
That's right. Come on, baby.
All right.
Bring it.
Thank you. Take care. All right.
Yes,
bye-bye. Thank you for joining us for the Soaring Through Adversity podcast. New episodes are released on the first of every month. To learn more about our mission and passion, visit thevictoryadvantage.org. That is THE, victoryadvantage.org. There you'll find ways to get involved as a volunteer, donate, or apply for funding that supports individuals with IDD or physical disabilities in Union County, North Carolina, and the greater Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. You will also find a podcast tab on our website where you can click on the link to our YouTube channel. And I hope while you're there, you will subscribe. Additionally, you can see links that take you directly to our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We are also active on all social media platforms. Thank you again for tuning in and for your incredible support. We couldn't have made this impact without you. And remember, faith first, not last, will lead to living victoriously beyond limitations. Until next time, keep soaring.